if those who manage the process lack credibility or independence. That is why we are demanding a merit-based, transparent process for the appointment of INEC's leadership. We propose that INEC chairmanship and commissioners' positions be publicly advertised with clear qualifications stated, and that a credible election panel made up of eminent Nigerians, a credible selection panel made up of eminent Nigerians, such as the National Peace Committee, professional bodies, and civil society leaders, be empowered to shortlist and recommend candidates to the president for appointment. This is how we build institutional trust. This is how we give Nigerians confidence in the umpire of our elections. Ladies and gentlemen, our demands are simple but powerful. They are lawful, they are people-driven, and they are technologically feasible. The current Electoral Act and Constitution must be amended where necessary to remove ambiguity and enforce these provisions as mandatory. We are not asking for. We are demanding the right of every Nigerian to vote in a system that is fair, credible, and secure. Today, we will be submitting NACO's comprehensive policy document to the National Assembly. This document contains these two reforms grounded in research, citizen input, and democratic best practices. We urge our lawmakers to show courage and vision. History is watching. To the media, we ask you to amplify this message. To the youth, this is your democracy, take ownership. To the civil society, do not relent in this collective push. To the international community, stand with us in a support of these democratic imperatives. Let us rise to this moment. Let us reshape Nigeria's democratic destiny. Let us reinvent our electoral process so that future generations will say they stood up when it mattered most. Thank you. God bless you. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And rights, because on them hinges every other right. There can be no democracy where people do not pick their leadership. That is why it is very important that we are all gathered here today to begin this process that we believe will be the game changer and transform the electoral landscape as it pertains to leadership. Once again, we welcome our diaspora community. Some persons, this is being streamed live, so some audience are joining us from all over the world. We welcome our media representatives here. Arise is here, we're expecting channels. LM247, we welcome you, and every other participant who is here seated. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please at this juncture, I want you to once again, with a resounding round of applause, welcome to the microphone our opening speaker. Yes, he will speak from there. Of course, our guest speaker and the lead speaker for today's event, none other but a very erudite, consummate, legal luminary, a mentor, a father in many, many regards, the one and only Mr. Femi Falana, SAN. Please welcome him to the microphone.
10 to 29, Jonah, the Mohammed Uwais panel and recommended how to appoint our electoral officers, which is to the fact that there shall be advertisements of those who are willing to serve as members of the Electoral Commission and resident Electoral Commissioners, so that they will be subjected to public scrutiny. There will be shortlisting. At that time, they recommended that the NJC should do the shortlisting, and then the list should go through the president to the Senate. Since then, no regime and adopted that aspect of the report. So we must go back to the Uwais panel. 2, the Uwais panel recommended that all election petitions be concluded before the inauguration of the incoming government. Again, that is very crucial. Once you allow somebody to go to office and you are challenging his election, he has all the powers. He can frustrate your petition. 3, in most African countries today, the presidential election goes to only the Supreme Court or the Constitutional Court. In Kenya, upon the conclusion of an election, all election materials are automatically made available to all contestants in case you want to go to election petition. So the question of going to file an application in court, expert, to demand for election materials, file another application to serve the respondents, and waste a lot of time. In Kenya, materials are automatically made available. You don't need an application. You can serve electronically, even by WhatsApp. So the question of going to look for the respondent, we cannot enter the villa or the governor's lodge. We're not going to apply to serve by substituted means, a paid advertisement and the rest. No. Africa has moved beyond that. In Kenya, the election petitions shall be filed 7 days after the election. Because basically electronic. So what are you looking for? You are looking for witnesses, you have to travel around, you risk their lives and the rest. No. Basically documentary. The Supreme Court is the only forum that decides presidential election petitions in the majority of African states. In Kenya and in most countries, it's 14 days. They will hear it and determine within 14 days. So we must find out what is going on around us so that we are not in our oasis of ignorance and believing that, we are the leading African nation. In many areas, we are at the back. And so, if we are going to have good elections, we must sensitize our people. And brother, please, MC, it's not about election alone. If the people are not interested in your voting, they won't go. They won't vote. And that's why people don't vote here. When we were young, when you were up to Second Republic. And this is important. You could predict what the UPN and PRP will vote for and what MPP and MPN and GMPP will vote for. But today, all the people in the National Assembly vote the same way. There is no ideological difference. So it's not enough to say people should go and vote. What are they voting for? The masses will ask you. As far as this ramshackle constitution is concerned, all political parties shall adopt Chapter 2 of the Constitution. Access to health, access to education, welfare and security of the people. The government shall take care of even the disabled people, children, pensioners, and so on and so forth. They are all in Chapter 2. But the ruling class has put a clause in the Constitution that if you breach these provisions, you cannot go to court. So those are things that should be part of your campaign. It's not enough to say, go and vote. What am I voting for? If I'm going to vote to renew the oppression, my oppression, so why do I need to go and vote? But in those days, it is that I want my children to go to school. A party that will give them free education, I will fight and vote for it. A party that will provide full employment. A party that will not tax the poor. and a party that will not allow illegal arrest and detention of citizens. So we must begin to make demands, accompany the campaign for voting with demands for the dividends of democracy. It's not enough to vote. What am I voting for? If my conditions will not improve, in my own part of the world, they say, oh God, if you will not improve my condition, leave me as you met me. So if we are going to campaign and you want people to vote, you must also encourage them to ask questions from those who are in power. Now, on your paper, it's not enough to go and submit your proposal to the National Assembly. They will just dump it. And I'm going to suggest to each of us here, and all our friends and family members, we must now begin to interrogate our legislators. You have the right, because they are going to come around to say, come and vote for us. You have the right to write to them. They have money. They earmark money for constituency meetings, which are never held. Because again, we don't demand for those meetings. So we can, part of your campaign, identify. If I ask you now, most of us don't know our senators. We don't know our House of Rep members. We don't even know our legislators in the state houses of assembly. So we must begin to ask, because the National Assembly that will amend the Electoral Act, so we have the right to call them to meetings. Can we discuss our proposals with you? And I can assure you, because of what they themselves have gone through, they are also willing to improve on the current frustrations with our elections. The court has said, the Supreme Court has said, that transmission of election results, electronic registration and the rest of them, beavers and whatever, are optional for INEC. In other words, it is not compulsory as far as the law is concerned to transmit results. That is where we will now have to say, please amend the Electoral Act to make it compulsory for all of us to monitor and visualize the results that are uploaded and sent to the central server of INEC. If you do that, why does anybody go on? We need to go and file election petitions. Because you already know the result, even before the announcement. And that is why in many countries of the world today, losers congratulate the winners, even before the official announcement. Ghana has just had an election, presidential election in December. 2 former presidents, President Jonathan and President Obasanjo, were there at the inauguration. President Tinubu were there, and about 10 governors. When they came back, there has been no debate of what they saw. And pressmen have not asked them, now you were in Ghana. What happened? There is no election petition against the presidential election. All the losers congratulated the winner. In Accra here, 40 minutes flight. So why is our own so difficult to conduct credible elections? So my suggestion, if we sit down and we begin to host seminars all over the country, we may be wasting our time. Because many of the people you are speaking to are deaf. But we have the right. You have your budget 2025 Appropriation Act. You voted money for constituency meetings and consultation. Please, we are inviting you. Let the senator or the House of Rep member say, I won't come to your meeting. He knows you may be able to campaign against his or her re-election. So we need to move out and engage our representatives in the National Assembly and State Houses of Assembly. Because the constitutional amendment regarding election will go around the entire country. So we also need to engage members of the State Houses of Assembly. I also want to suggest there are many bodies that are promoting transparent elections. You must link up with them. One of your suggestions here will not fly. This business of international community, we are deceivers. Who are the members of the international community? Led by the United States of America today. You know what is going on in America? It's even a debate that the president may do a third term, may go for a third term. So what is which America? Disobeying court orders, the government in power, imposing tariffs all over the world without going through parliament, through Congress. So please, don't deceive yourself about international. We are going to solve our own problems by ourselves so that we can be respected. And just like we are referring to Ghana, if we organize our country, let other countries refer to our example that we want to emulate Nigeria. Not that, because this is the largest concentration of black people in the world. What we are doing is a shame. I was in Ghana in 2004, I think. We had an election. Or 2000. After the Agor, Florida manipulation in America. And you know, at that time they were saying too close to court. And in Ghana, it was like, no, this is not Florida. We are going to conduct good elections in Accra, in Ghana. Ghana has had over 30 years of uninterrupted election. Now, still on the international community, I was in Accra and delivered a paper in Accra yesterday. So that you know where we are. Yes. We're in trouble. The President Buhari and Salo of Guinea-Bissau dissolved Parliament in December 2023. He has refused to conduct parliamentary election. His own term of office as president expired in February this year. He's still in office as a sole administrator. Majority of the presidents in West Africa now, are you listening to me? Yes. Are removing term limits in their constitution. That's one of the countries, Togo. Since 1963 that country became independent, only two people, a father and son, have ruled the country. Eyadema's son had just removed term limit from the constitution. His father ruled from 1963 to 2005. He has been ruling since 2005. So he has now removed term limit. The man in Côte d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara, is going for fourth term. The man in the Gambia, Adama Barrow, is going for third term. And so on and so forth. 4 of the countries are under military dictatorship. Forget the propaganda that is going on about Burkina Faso. Mali, the president of Mali, president of Burkina Faso, the president of Niger, are planning to stay in office for 9, 8, and 7 years respectively. Those have not been elected. Are you with me? Yes, so that's the international community you are talking about. Guinea is under a military dictatorship. It too wants to contest election. So don't let's rely. The people we are calling international community should be learning from a great country like our own and not the other way around. The final point I would like to make, particularly to the organizers of this program, is how we can rise from here to make contacts with similar bodies and political parties. Political parties are not for elections alone. They are only for elections in Nigeria. No! A political party representing the interests of the people must challenge the government in power on a daily basis. There's darkness in our country. They say we're going to have band A, band B, band this, band that. What has happened today? In the midst of the darkness, the Minister of Power has just announced that we're going to increase electricity tariff very soon. And Nigerians have accepted suffering. So we expect parties to come out, to join issues with the government. This was not your promise. Why are you not removing hardship from the country? Why are you imposing more hardship on our people? There are 20 million Nigerian children on the street out of school. The second highest in the world. Today, we have the largest number of children that are not immunized. Today, we have the largest number of children that are suffering from kwashiorkor. I can go on and on and on. So in the midst of that, you can't talk of election alone. We must find out there is an agency, Universal Basic Education in Abuja here. Those of you in Abuja must go there. How many states have refused to come here to access the matching grant to put our children in school? Because you can't have a nation of ignorance. Ignorant people, and you're talking of election. Children in China, even in Rwanda, are learning from they're using computer in the primary school. Do you understand me? So, please, let us match the demands for dividends of democracy with our demand for transparent and credible elections. Let us mobilize our people through their representatives to amend the Electoral Act and the Constitution to guarantee this country credible elections. Unite, collaborate with other organizations and the human rights community and political parties that are interested in electoral reform so that we can speak with one voice. We should be powerful and have impact on the members of the ruling class. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. That without the amendment of the Electoral Act coming for 2027 general election, the election will not only be manipulated, it will not only have that is the reason why every Nigerian must stand up as quickly as possible to challenge the status quo to ensure that we have credible elections. We have developed a 10-point amendment, and it may interest you to know I was a member or the leader, the IPAC chairman, before the 2010 amendment of the elections. So I am well experienced.
What is IPAC?
IPAC is the Inter-Party Advisory Council, which represents the interests of all political parties in Nigeria. I was the chairman, a two-time chairman of that particular body. And I presented similar documents of this nature at the National Assembly. You could Google it, and probably you could see it while I was speaking to the National Assembly. So we've developed a 10-point agenda coming from the 2023 general elections. And I just speak to them just little by little. One, we insist that the amendment of the 2027 general election should include first the educational qualification of the contestants. Very key. Strict implementation of educational qualification requirement with evidence. Because if we don't do that, it makes every student who have gone through the four corners of the university to feel it's a waste that he has spent his university days in trying to get education. So anybody can come in and become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria without having any due qualification. So it must be amended. Two,
there must be a compulsory national presidential debate. People who want to aspire for position of power must come and tell us what they have. Not that they tell us this and then they implement another thing. We demand there should be a debate. If you recall, almost the 2 presidential elections that had passed through this country, there was debate of the presidents was almost not there, because people do not have the capacity to speak to their people. And if you don't have a capacity to speak to your people, you have no business in leading them. 3, we have 93 million registered voters before the 2023 general elections. But guess what? Only 23 or 24% of those particular people voted. It does not even have 50%. And yet, those are the people that now govern us. Is it acceptable? No, I can't hear you. Is it acceptable? No. So, our position is that every registered elected voter must vote. Must vote. In other countries, they fine you if you don't vote. Because it's your civic right. Because you are now putting your position to say, look, I want so person to represent me. So imagine if 93 million Nigerians voted at that time. Do you think we will have this kind of government? Obviously no. So we must insist that every registered voter must vote. And here is the catch. Wherever you register, you should be able to vote there. You don't need to move from point A to point B to register and to vote. Because normally what happens during election is that when you register to vote, you will leave that particular place. Maybe it's in Kano. You now want to go and vote in Akwa Ibom. You end up having an accident, God forbid, on the road before you want to go and vote. So vote where you are resident. And the vote should be counted according to where you are domiciled or where you want your vote to be counted. It can be done electronically. 4, Nigeria must at least tinker with the issue of tenure of office. We have 4 years, then you can renew 4 years. That makes it 8 years. We are proposing a single term of 6 years. If you are interested in doing good for the people, 6 years is enough for you to show that particular capacity. That way, because of the peculiar nature of Nigeria, everybody in every act of this particular country must have tasted that particular point to foster unity. 5, the National Assembly should also think very strongly with the issue of proportional representation. Proportional representation here means that we don't have a winner-take-all syndrome. What we have in Nigeria is that once you win as political party A, everybody that is in that political party are the only person that have right to power. And so they'll be denied the opportunity to get the best out of the other political party. Just like what you have in South Africa. There's a proportional representation. And once that proportional representation is done, if you win state assembly, an allocation of budget will be made for you in that political party. If you win as the National Assembly, that money too will be given to you. That way you will not have the idea of people defecting from one party to another. We also say that once you defect from one party to another, you must lose that seat. Because you have taken the mandate of another party to another party. Morally and ethically, it is wrong. And if you feel you are powerful and you are strong, stay in your new party, declare that particular office vacant, canvass for votes, and when you win, you can return to the chair with that particular mandate of the new party. That is how it is democratically done in anywhere in the world. Why must our own be different? So we must insist that the moment you lose your seat, you move, and then the next person will take over after an election that has already been made. 8, electronic transfer of voters' results is not negotiable. Because where they manipulate the vote is in that collation center. I was part of the team that witnessed the election before this in Edo State, where we used the Vivas machine and all of that. Elections were reported as real time. There was no manipulation. In fact, as a political party, you should be able to collate your result without even being told whether you've won or lost. So we must eliminate that collation, that hydra-headed monster called collation center. Once the result is being announced at the polling unit, that is it, and then we can collate it and get the result that all of us deserve. Finally, the issue of the issue of proof of wrongdoing at the polling unit. I was the key witness to Peter Obi elections in 2023. Let me shock you. We, of course, were not able to get all of our polling agents due to some reasons, but we got appreciable number of that particular polling unit. Now, we were supposed to prove to INEC and the court that we actually won that election, which we still believe we won. We went to INEC to demand for certified true copy of the result sheet. When you say certified true copy, it means the result sheet that INEC itself used in pronouncing that result and is authentic. Listen to what the judges said. The judges said that the true certified copy that we got were manipulated by us. The certified true copy actually came from INEC, stamped and sealed by the INEC. But yet they told us that that particular certified true copy, I was the witness. And they looked at us and said that particular certified true was manipulated by us. So I wonder, where did we get a true certified copy from, if not from INEC? Finally, the issue and processes of getting a new INEC chairman. This is key. Ladies and gentlemen, do not be fooled. I see young Nigerians who are aspiring to be senators and even presidents among you. We need to challenge this particular establishment now. They are there doing kumbia, arrange, gada, to give us a new INEC chairman. They've already done what they want to do with the security. They've done what they want to do with the, of course, all the tiers of election process. Buying of your votes, giving you Talia and Maggie and Rapper. All of those ones are in. In fact, they pointed at you. They told you that they are going to manipulate and you can't do nothing. That's what they said. Now, the process of getting a new chairman already been established by Justice Mohammed Uwais' report. I encourage you to go and take a copy of that report. Very important. Done with a lot of patriotism. And it was suggested that before you take an INEC chairman, make it a public thing. Publish it. When you publish it, you can now select, the NGS can now select, and then the president can now pick one. So nobody knows who that person will be. But the moment you allow these crops of politicians, unfortunately I am among them, to pick one person, he or she will pick that person that will do his bidding. That is a fact. Whether that person do the right thing or not is left for the conscience of that person. But don't give that room. We shouldn't allow it. We should take it in a normal basis and take Justice Mohammed Uwais' report. And we also, that particular report also suggested that INEC should be balkanized into three. One, the electoral empire, which will deal directly only with elections. Two, the delineation commission, which will give us room to now give new polling units because we are increasing in numbers. And that delineation should start 2 years even before the elections. It should be concluded. Then the last one, which is enforcement commission. The enforcement commission is to take care of electoral malpractices. Very few of the electoral malpractices have been convicted in Nigeria. Once you can get 1 or 2 persons, I'm not talking about those ones that shoot guns on the street. No. I'm not talking about those ones. I'm talking about, with all due respect, even though I want to be a professor in my life, professors who manipulate votes should be the one that should be arrested and dealt with. Police officers who help. INEC officers who help in manipulating the result, because all of them are human beings and they are Nigerians, and they are suffering what we are suffering too. So we must be able to prosecute those particular persons. Believe me, it was not a ghost that made the glitch that took place in 2023. It was not a ghost. It was a human being like you and I. And he benefited from it and put all of us in trouble. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage our lawmakers. I did this at the National Assembly, and I'm saying it right now here. Remember to do the right thing at the right time. Remember to do the right thing at the right time. Today, you may be a legislator, and you refuse to do the right thing by enacting laws that will benefit all of us. That particular seat is not permanent for you. You'll be out of that particular seat one day, you'll be out of it. And then you will suffer from your inaction that you refuse to do, that you want to benefit in future. So now that you have the opportunity, do the right thing. I thank you very much for listening.
Remarks on a platform provided by this coalition with a very important and strong theme. A theme that I believe is as central and critical to the survival of democracy in Nigeria. I must commend the organizers of this conference or summit or parley for providing a platform where citizens can share ideas, views, and opinions and make meaningful contribution to this very important national conversation that we hope will add value in our search for free, fair, credible elections and for an enduring democracy. I had a question being asked by the MC, and that question was, is Nigeria a democracy? And he also asked another question, which is in tally or in tandem with the first one, which was, what is a democracy? Each time the definition of democracy is asked, people always make reference to a quotation attributed to Abraham Lincoln. But the definitions of democracy can vary in all forms, but there are standards as far as Western democracy is concerned. A democracy is a system of government or a political system that is established through fair, credible, and free elections, and that also has as its fundamental principles respect for the Constitution, the fundamental rights of citizens, and also the principles of separation of power. Now, it is these qualities that we can use to gauge or to measure whether our democracy is truly a democracy or is simply a mockery of democracy. And we are just 25 years through this journey. By this time, we ought to have perfected in our search for democracy. But when you look at even developed, advanced democracies of the world, sometimes you can see we are doing better. US has always been referenced as the beacon of freedom and democracy. And what is happening in the United States today has a ripple effect on democracies worldwide. Because if one president can stand up and defy court order and deport citizens or people he call illegal immigrants in defiance of a court order from the most populous and most advanced democracy in the world. And that gives justification for leaders from lesser developed democracies to do what they want to do. And in the United States today, there are universities that are defunded for allowing protests in their campuses. That's the democracy you have. And for the first time in the history of the United States, you can see even the issue of third term is being conceived or being plotted. So if such things are happening to democracies at that level, what becomes of our own future? I believe we should reach a point today we don't rate ourselves to the West as far as democracy is concerned. Because in their own concept too, interests come first. Now, let's come back to Nigeria. I have seen that most of you here are younger people who will aspire one day to be elected into office. Then you should ask yourself, if I sit down here as a senator, I believe I have some experience which I will share with you. Because I come from the civil society, civil rights movement, and I won election. So, as it has been said, in the life of every person there is a lesson to learn, but you have to be a good observer, a good researcher, or a good student for you to listen and to also learn from his own experience. What does it take to win an election in Nigeria? What does it take? You're a young man, you want to contest election. So, your own idea of democracy is simply contesting and you'll be announced the winner. That's what you read from the textbooks. But there are lots of things that are behind the scene. If you want to contest elections, there are some unique things about our country that you have to look at. Some factors which I will state. The first is that you need a political party. And the choice is to go into a bigger political party or a smaller political party. Small, I don't need to say that it's small, but it is not a big political party. If you go into a smaller political party, you have a very high chances of getting your ticket even without any hazards. In some parties, you don't even need to contest primaries. You say, take ticket and contest. But then you have to ask yourself, does your people know that party? And does that party have the financial muscle for you to win election? And is that party popular among your people? Those are questions you ask. So if you pick a Labour Party in Enugu, Anambra, Ebonyi State, you know you have a high chances of picking Labour Party in Sokoto and Kebbi State. And if you pick the NMPP in Kano, you have high chances of picking the NMPP in River State or Cross River State. If you pick the APC in state like Kebbi, Sokoto, or Niger, you know you are going through. But if you pick the APC perhaps in Anambra or in some states, you know you're not going anywhere. So these are the first thing you have to do. The second thing you have to understand is, in the Nigerian political balance, is you need a godfather. And because every inch of Nigeria's political territory is controlled by a godfather. I don't know where we are today. Well, we are in Utako. If you want to know who is the godfather of this Utako, just print your poster and press it around outside of this hotel. The next day you will see it's been removed by some forces. They will tear it down. If you erect a billboard, it will be removed 2 to 3 days after. And if you ask them why, those who are removing, they will ask you, did you ask for permission, or did you go to so person within this ward and discuss with him? You say you're in Nigeria and you have the right, okay, go and do it. So a godfather provides you with the platform, he provides you with finance, he also provides you with the people. How can a godfather control the people? In every ward, in every district, you see there is a certain godfather that holds people not hostages, but he provides social welfare for people. When their children are marrying, he shares them money. Once they are burying their fathers and mothers, he gives them money. When they are paying their school fees, he pays them. When they have problem of rent, of tuition fees, he pays around that area. So no matter how you go there to speak the grammar of change and revolution in that place. And I'm giving you practical politics as it is. Your people are oppressed, your people are denied their right, your people are destroyed, there is so much suffering in the land. They will say, you are right, my brother. But when election comes, and you come to them for support, they will say, please go and talk to Mr. This, or Chief that, or Alhaji that. Why should I go to talk to him when I am here to campaign for him? He say he has been the one that has been helping us. So he controls the polling booths around. So see, you need a godfather and you need money. Money is what you need. Delegates, and you may think that it's just the ruling party. Delegates from the major opposition parties, the PDP. I don't know, Labour has come like a guagua, like a wind. And when there is a wind, you can even win election, even without money. But the major opposition party, you have to win the primaries. And to win the primaries, the delegates will line up, listen to your own manifesto, your own agenda, your everything. And when you're done, they give you a bill. Price for each and every one of them. If your opponent settles for 100,000 per delegate, they will bring it to you for a bidding process. Yours should be 110. So that is if you are joining a bigger political party. So by the time you clinch in the ticket, then the major electoral campaign starts. Everywhere you go and address people, you have to drop in money for transport, money for food, money for logistics. If you do go there with sloganeering 1 or 2 times, the next time nobody is going to be there for you. our political system has been highly monetized. That people of ideas, people of morality, people with vision, as long as they don't have money, they get buried in the process. And you can see the element of thuggery in politics. Most politicians have supporters. You have women supporters, youth supporters, elder supporters, and then you have thugs. Because there are territories you will cross and you will be attacked. And the security forces will not be there to protect you. So what protects you is the strength of your counterattack. So any person you see as a senator, as a member of House of Reps, has been grilled in that process. Has been roasted. People go to the extent of selling their homes to raise money. They go to the extent of borrowing money to win elections. They go to the extent of begging for money to win elections. So whoever you see that emerges like this as a winner of an election, you only see him, but the journey was tough. So, and then you go for the election itself. If you are outrigged in the election, then you are already in another phase of suffering. Once INEC announced the winner, the next option for you is, if you happen to be the winner, fine, you celebrate. If you lose the election, you go to court. Look at them here. This first struggle for you is the struggle to have access to electoral materials. By the time you have access, and for you to do that, you have to hire lawyers. They come in sons. Every son will come with his bill to you. So when you think that you have spent so much money for elections, there is a second phase if you have to go to court. And you see sons with big cars, Mercedes, BMW, with briefcases and their staffs, and you hire them, it's not going to be free. So each one will give you his bill. By the time they give you their bill, and then you are able to secure access to election materials, the next is for INEC to give you one trailer of election materials to find your victory inside it. And then you see tons and tons of ballot papers, and you will be given 2 weeks to search all those papers. So, there you go. You have to be picking every of the paper like this. You'll be checking. If there is a massive thumb printing, you have to hire a forensic expert, which is also not free. And that forensic expert will have to go to be searching for thumb print and be selecting them from one side to another. And in rigging process, when they are going to add votes for themselves, they will make sure that your own vote too is damaged. If they voted him, he has 50,000 votes, and I have 40,000 votes. I will pick his ballot papers and do double print on it, and that will be removed from his own count. So, you will spend the next 3 months in election tribunal. And after that, the possibility of you proving that you have won that election is very slim. And then after losing, there will be interview at the outside of the court, and your lawyer will say, we are going to appeal. And then he will give you another bill for appeal. And imagine you have 3 to 4 sons. Go to appeal. Appeal. From there, you keep on appealing, expecting, hoping. And then you are crushed there. By the time you are out of it, you have sold your houses, you have incurred a lot of debt, you have been so tired, you look slimmer than before you are contesting. You look sick. The last time your family saw you was before the election started. And you look completely disoriented. So, this is the journey you have. What can we do about credible elections? The most important thing is vigilance. We must be very vigilant. You vote a candidate, and then you are not ready to protest if that candidate is being denied his own. Then what is going to happen? You see, the difference between the opposition of 2013, 2014 and the opposition today led by the PDP is that those ones who are in 2013, 2014 that became the government in 2015 were on the street. Buhari was in the street. These are some of the people that in Kaduna, they are always dragging Buhari to protest. They were in the street protesting. But you can't do opposition in an elitist way. Once you are not in power, you have to go back to the grassroots. If everybody is afraid of prison, everyone is afraid of tear gas, everyone is afraid of being arrested, who is going to protest for you? Like one former governor was, the Nigerians are cowards, they don't protest. It's not about them, it's about you. And young people of today, once you make one posting, they arrest you, you make a lot of noise and run away. But you forgot that people like us, when we were in your age, we spent so many years in prison. My last imprisonment was, I spent 4 years in the prison system. I started from Kaduna prison to Krikri prison to Port Harcourt prison. I kept on being transferred until I ended in Aba prison, Abia State. I've never been to Aba. I ended up in Aba prison. That's where I finished my own prison service, called NYSC. So, you have to learn to go to prison. You have to learn to wear handcuffs. That is the price of conviction, is the price of resistance, is the price of saying no, resistance. You don't have to be afraid of it. And one thing you should learn to do is, as long as you are in a civil society or civil rights resistance or movement, find time to be visiting prisons around your home, around your city, so that by the time they take you there, they know you. Many of you here, Kuje prison, have you ever bought an Indomie or toiletries to visit the controller of Kuje prison and say, please take 2 inmates that are inside this prison? You don't. At this phase, I do it because I don't know tomorrow. If today I'm in the APC and then we have trouble, I am out of it, I will turn back to people like that. And then when we are inside that place, I know I already have been able to do something there. They will welcome you, the inmates. How can you be in activism you don't know the prison in your own state? By the time you enter, they will welcome you with a slap. Those hardened inmates there. There's nothing we have not seen in those places. We were, when we went to prison, we were 25 years old, 26 years old. By the time we come out of it, we are even above NYC service. I went there as an activist, just in the fire of student unionism, and we just got into civil rights. By the time I came out, we were over 30 years. So, Nigerians, there are problems with the political elite, and there are problems with ourselves. How can you register and get a voter's card and you refuse to vote on the election day? People are using their PVC as souvenir or part of their interior decor. You just keep it. INEC registered over 79 to 80 million Nigerians. Look at the number of people who voted. Do you know that the number of people who voted for Shagari in 1979 is more than the number of people who voted in 2023 election? 79 is about 45 years ago. The number of people who voted 1980 in Nigeria are more than the number of people who voted in 2023 election. The numbers are there. So what happens? And at that time, our population was almost about 85 or 90 million people at that time. Now it's about 230 million. Younger people, you must have interest in your country. You must be interested in your country. You go to the Facebook, Twitter handles. Younger people are already there. They are with Tiwa Savage, Ira Star, Burna Boy, Wizkid, Kiss Daniel. These are where you people lodge. If the video say that I love pink, he will have about 300,000 likes. If Yunus Sana posted that, why should an oil block be sold without transparency? If he's lucky to have 6 or 7 likes there. But for Arasta to say that I love yellow necklace, see about 50,000 likes. This is where we are today. So, electoral process is as important as the life of a democracy. The person who happens to be in position of authority and power today, in 1998, when the military were going out of power, those of us who fought for democracy, we were invited. All we need to do at that very time is organize ourselves, take a political party, and move, contest election, and then take over power at that time. No, Alita continued. At that meeting we had that time, Gani was there. Gani said, no, we're not going to participate. We'll continue to fight until we achieve the revolution. And we followed that process of fighting. The present president said no, that he is going to contest the election. That if he didn't contest Lagos, then who's going to take over? He moved and then contested, and then all of us say he was a sold out. We only realized that lost because the politicians have already taken over all the seats and they have entrenched themselves already. Unlike the ANC in South Africa, after Mandela was released, they transformed into a political party, took over power, and Mandela became the president. At that time, in 1999, we will have rallied around Gani Fawhimi, set up a political party, people like Chima Obaniako, and then take over power. We refused. And since then, 2003, we are still struggling. Launch on him. But he left office with a Labour Party in control of Abia State, with an NNPP in control of Kano State, with ABGA in control of Anambra State, and with the PDP in control of Osun State. Please, the way the country is moving, I hope you will not turn back and start looking for him and say, we missed a man. Thank you very much.
And I want to tell you this because I made it smiling because he has an idea of what I want to say. I have loved him from afar. Right from when I was in school, I was a godfather in school in politics, so I did a whole lot of it. And when I listen to him speak, I hear what I want to hear. Sometimes I see the decorum in his speeches. You know, if you see where he's talking gently, even if you read his tweets, you see he doesn't write so much. Sometimes he just writes in a code. And when we were getting ready for this program, I reached out to him and I told him I would have loved him to grace this occasion and speak to us and then say something just to us. Like that. He didn't ask any question, he just forwarded to me and made all the arrangements. And he was here. When I called, he said he has already arrived at Abuja yesterday. Distinguished Senator, I am very pleased. At least today you've been able to know one of your followers who have not seen for years and who have been talking. I am very pleased to see you. Nako is very happy. In fact, when I announced to the House that you have accepted that you're going to be here, they were very pleased.
You end immigration. They even say we have ended SARS, but we have moved them, we have opened SWAT. The parent stock is in bad law enforcement. If you don't fix government, you won't fix law enforcement. The only reason why police is very prominent is because they bear firearms and they can cause instant fatality. Taken from them, the judiciary is worse than police. Civil service is as bad as law enforcement. Is it health sector? Is it oil sector? Every system is fundamentally flawed. But you cannot address all at one time. It must begin with one thing. That is why if you follow me on social media, I have continued to double down on the issue of INEC. If Nigeria has 5 problems today, 1, 2, and 3 is INEC, 4 judiciary, 5 law enforcement. But you will fix judiciary and law enforcement through getting in people into the system that have the character and competence to reform anything. So that electoral process is our first point of accountability. Imagine if President Tinubu knows that if he fails to deliver, he said in 2023, he said, if I don't give you constant light, vote me out. Do you believe that this same system of INEC will vote Tinubu out if he fails to give you NEPA? Imagine if President Tinubu knows that if he fails to give you light, there is a system that can take him out. We have failed to fix our first line of accountability. That is why politicians are running amok. Why should everybody be afraid? Because
I'm the convener of NACO. NACO is the Nigeria Electoral Reform Coalition, which is a coalition of patriotic Nigerians who are tired, who believe that something new must happen, who believe that the electoral reform, the electoral process, is one of the major solutions to the problem of Nigeria. And so that's what it's about. Yeah, first, we are thankful to God that the conference has held. This is just the beginning, because this conference is not the last one. It's the beginning. By the time we get to the National Assembly, you would know the next line of action, because it's not just stopping with a conference. We are not into talking. We are walking the talk, I can assure you. The first thing about the conference, you could find out the way it was done. It gives opportunity for everybody to express themselves. Now, you could take note of the fact that all the opinions being aired there are not all NACO opinions, but some of them are basically personal opinions, individual opinions. But we allowed people to share their views, and we could pick the things that we want to pick. And so the most important thing is that we have our speakers, and we have gotten points of some of the things that we think we should do. And then in the next Electoral Reform conference, for season 2.0, we are going to adopt and implement some of the things that they have mentioned. No, it's not basically, it's not mainly a meeting. We are going to submit a policy document, a document that has to be what is NACO's demands, what we want them to look at. Now, we are not looking for 10 demands or 1 million demands. We're just asking for two basic things. And then the first thing is we are saying digitize the process. Get the process of the electoral process digitized from the registration to the result. We want it technology driven. And so we want to eliminate human interactions or human interferences as much as possible. And that's what NACO is all about. And then secondly, we are saying credible appointment or credible appointment of INEC leadership. You know, we need to get the right kind of people on INEC to drive this particular project. To INEC, to INEC. All right, for the government, we would say they have the opportunity to make it right. They have the opportunity to do something right. Nigerians are tired. I mean, it's truth that the Nigerians are tired, and we cannot continue like this. And I call on the Senate President, I call on the President himself, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the Speaker of the House. These are people who, at one time or the other, had done something credible, something beautiful, whether for their state or for the nation. I mean, President Tinubu was a part of NADECO. They were the ones that were fighting for democracy. I mean, where was that passion that he was driving with? Where is that reasoning? Where is that thing that was pushing him for democracy? Because he wanted to serve the people. And I'm reminding him today that the Nigeria he wanted to serve is the Nigeria he is the president now. But he has the opportunity to make it right. Whatever it is, he may have people out there beside him giving him all kinds of advice, but he should look down, come out of that high pedestal, and come into the progress and find out what's going on within the masses. The truth is that the country is in trouble. There's a whole lot that needs to be done. So he needs to come down from that high pedestal and see where the people are seeing from and see what these people are going through. That same Nigeria he fought for is currently being troubled, and he must do something about it. And then I call on the Senate President to remember he's a Democrat. He's a transformative leader. I remind him of the days he was in Akwa Ibom State. I remind him of the things he did in Akwa Ibom State. I remind him that he transformed the life of Akwa Ibom people. I remind him that the infrastructural development in Akwa Ibom today began with him. I remind him that the core Akwa Ibom person believes in Akpabio. And I remind him that he's a good man and that he should not allow the circumstances surrounding him to make him close his eyes to what is facing Nigerians. Instead, remember that good man that wanted his people well that made sure the Akwa Ibom person came out of the trenches and became people of repute. To the extent that you could see Akwa Ibom people sing songs now with their language. In those days, Akwa Ibom people were inferior. They felt inferior. But today, through that man, he was able to do something. I believe he has the capacity. I believe he has the goodness in him to help the Nigerian people. So he should look back to it and see what he could do and make sure that these things are changed. Wola Okereke Chinedu is my full name. I am the convener of NACO. NACO is the Nigeria Electoral Reform Coalition. Now, that's not the only thing I lead. I'm a civil society leader. I also lead other coalitions. But this is basically why we're here, NACO. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Well, the Nigerian Electoral Reform Coalition has provided a platform today for people to express their opinion and share ideas and views as of how to improve on our electoral process and how to make it more credible and transparent. And this is important in view of our history as a democracy in the last 25 years, where elections has always been contentious and elections have always been a threat to peace, to the unity and the survival of our democracy itself, which is supposed not to be so. This platform is important in the sense that ideas that are generated from this forum can help policy makers, can help lawmakers, can help the political class to see that our democracy is refined and groomed for our future. People always ask the question, what is a democracy? And democracy has always been defined by the quotation from Abraham Lincoln, where he said, for, by, and of the people. But in the real sense, democracy is a system of government that comes through a transparent and credible electoral process, and that has within its components respect for fundamental rights, respect for the Constitution, respect for the principle of separation of powers, respect for judiciary, respect for law and order, and respect for the people. This is very important. And one of the problems we face as a country is that our electoral process has always been problematic in the sense that the theory has always differed from what is in the practice. If we have a political system that is being controlled, manipulated, and dictated by a few against the wishes of the majority, then what we have is more or less a modified form of military government. If we are going to save this democracy, everyone must do his bit. The political class must not hijack the democratic process. They must ventilate it and make it possible for people's votes to count. The people who are the electorate must also detoxify their minds and their greed. The idea of receiving money from politicians to vote is suicidal to our democratic process. A democracy where you have to pay money to win primary elections, you have to pay money to win the general elections, that is a threat to the democratic process itself. And then the electoral empire in the country must also perform its job responsibly and professionally. So far, many things have been said against Professor Mahmoud, but it is on record that Mahmoud is leaving behind a democratic system in Nigeria where the Labour Party is in charge in Abia State, where the People's Democratic Party is in charge in Osun State, where the APGA is in charge in Anambra State, where the ANPP is in charge in Kano State, and where the APC has won the dominant majority. I hope and I pray that may we not look back and say that Professor Mahmoud was better than the person or the people who are going to take over after him. Because if you have a democratic process that is only tilted to one side, we have a problem. What we are having today in this country is that people are gravitating to the ruling party. Well, it is not the responsibility of the ruling party to stop people gravitating towards them. It's not the responsibility of the ruling party if people are moving towards them. It is the duty and responsibility of the opposition to make sure that they create the enabling and conducive atmosphere for the opposition to remain within their fold. If you can't get justice in the ruling party and you move to the opposition, you cannot also get justice there. Then the problem is that there will continue to be depletion of forces in the rank of the opposition, and that is not the responsibility of the ruling party. Well, there are a number of factors that makes people to leave the opposition parties. One is lack of internal democracy. When you have one person dictating who is going to be chairman of the party, who is going to be secretary of the party, who are going to be treasurers of the party, who are going to control the party, and also who is going to get the tickets of the party, then the opposition is not different from the ruling party. And it is sad and unfortunate that even to get the ticket to run under opposition parties nowadays is even more expensive than getting a ticket to run under the ruling party. So opposition is supposed to behave differently, supposed to act differently, supposed to operate differently, and they're supposed to be on a higher moral ground, on a higher professional ground, on a higher ground of respectability and responsibility. But where the opposition is becoming worse than the ruling party, then you will naturally have people going out of them. Well, one-party system is a system where there is a law that enacted that such party should be one, like you have in China, like you have in North Korea, like you have in Cuba. But the one-party gravitation in Nigeria is more of a choice than a law. There are multi-parties in Nigeria where you can belong. And it is natural for the ruling party to market their own services and their goods and to attract membership. So it is also for the opposition to look at that and make it easier for people to remain within the opposition party. If you look at the movement from PDP to APC, now PDP has been enmeshed in a miserable, despicable, and suicidal crisis. A crisis that makes it impossible for people who are holding position to be sure of getting their next ticket. Where you have an opposition party that has almost 2 secretaries, where will you belong? You don't know where you will go and get the nomination form, and you don't know who is going to give you the ticket to contest election. So naturally, people have to be very concerned about that. So the inability of the PDP to address its domestic problem led to the exit of many of its members. The same thing with the Labour Party today. And I believe that the judgment that says that internal positions in parties are internal party affairs only creates room for chaos. So, crisis within the opposition party is the major reason why people are leaving the opposition party, not necessarily the actual import of it. Take, for example, I am a first-time serving governor in the PDP, and I want to go for the second term. And my party is in crisis. So I don't know who is my secretary out of the two, and I don't know which of the faction I shall belong. So if I remain in PDP and the time comes for me to get re-elected, the two people who are fighting will say I should come to them and get the expression of interest from. So where will I go? Where you have such kind of mortal division in the PDP, people are bound to leave. And I foresee the possibility of almost all the governors of PDP moving to the APC, especially the first time serving governor, not the second time. Because you can't get a ticket to contest in a party that is enmeshed in intractable crisis. The governor of Delta State is a first-time serving governor, and he wants to go for the second term. And then he now goes to the headquarters of the party and see two offices of different secretaries, and also see that the leadership and the membership is divided between the faction of Atiku and faction of Wiki. What will he do? And if he picks one ticket and the other one goes to court, what will become of him? So this is what is likely going to happen. It's not the APC that people want a platform where it's stable. It's like now you have two vehicles, and one has an uncertain tires, and the other one's tire is okay. So which one are you going to go with? So that is why the deflection is going to be from the first time serving governors. And the same thing with legislators at the National Assembly. You are a senator, and you want to be re-elected, and your party is in crisis. So what do? The party that offers you the ticket or possibility of a ticket is where you are going to. So that is my own idea and observation on the matter. You see, from the day that President Tinubu announced his series of reforms, I know that he's going to be in trouble with the people, because those reforms came with pains and sufferings and hardships. And it is natural, if you attempt to renovate your house, there will be inconveniences. But it is also the law of reforms anywhere in the world. Wherever you see governments implementing reforms, people are bound to suffer some form of hardships. But once the produce and fruit of that reform start emanating, then the views of people will change. He has made some giant steps in a number of areas, particularly in security in northern Nigeria. There are still kidnappings and banditry and terrorism going on. But the fact that when last have you had our schools being attacked and students being kidnapped? Kaduna Abuja Road is safer, and the trains are safer than they used to be. But Boko Haram is still raging attacks in northeastern part of Nigeria. That aspect is there. And for the fact that the looting of treasury of government that happened under Buhari, there is some level of check now. It's something to appreciate. But the suffering and hunger among Nigerians is true, and the rising level of poverty is also a fact on the ground that the government need to work hard for the peace and security of this country.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will have to go.
Policy document from us. Not part of the activities of this conference. We didn't want it to be just about talking. We have a call to action added to it. Now, I must make some little corrections here. We are not saying that this is the only thing required to do. There are so many demands that we can make, but we want to take it step by step.
We want to tell ourselves, we don't want to give us 20 things, and at the end of the day, they say they could not do it. That's why they didn't do any one. We want to tell them, this is the things we want. We are starting with these 2 basic items. And when we're going to the National Assembly, everything we're going to do is going to begin with this. From here, we are going to the National Assembly. A few of us, not all of you, but I will take a few of your leaders to go with us. All right? We're going with the press, and we'll go to the Senate President's office, and we'll go to the Speaker's office and deliver this particular document. And then that begins another stage of this particular work. You may not know that there is, we may have to agree. We want to give the Senate, the National Assembly, a time to mandate this, to do this this reform and act on it. We are proposing a 30 days notice. Now, background, they have proven to us that we will achieve a whole lot and get certain things done. So that's what the policy demands in general. The document is just there, but that's the 2 things basically it demands, so that I don't have to read and bore you with all the readings. The rest of it, including the amendment of the relevant sections of the law to back this, has also been pointed out in the document. And so it's for them. This is exactly what we're asking for the 2 of them, and we are following exactly what the Nigerian people have asked and what the House has demanded. And you have also agreed and endorsed that 30 days is more than enough, right? Yes. More than enough. Even if they were to be sleeping, it's more than enough to produce it. So on this note, as the convener of NACO, and being backed by the able personalities and our distinguished guests that are here, we are now presenting this document to them, and we are going to give them a 30 days notice, which you are going to be seeing on every social media. You write it on your own Twitter, begin to count. Day 1 begins immediately. What's the 30th day? What's the 30th day from today?
This is 8.
We'll count from tomorrow.
From the day you present.
From the day we present. So we're presenting today.
So from the day you present, because they have the document already been done.
Okay, so day 1 is today. All right. What?
Today has ended.
Mandate. The difference with every communique that is within Senate now is because there is no pressure on them. The only difference with what we will go and submit is the fact that Nigerians will decide to mobilize themselves and insist that something should be done. If not, if we give them 10, if we give them 1, they might decide to knock it out. What will we do? So where I am coming from and why I am strongly on this particular communique is because we have already begun some kind of processes on the internet. It is politically, it is completely not political. I don't want to give it a political coloration. Tomorrow they will say, because I am obedient, I'm trying to do, maybe Peter Obi sent me. No. It is Nigerians who want this to work, and we will become the backbone of this thing. But it is not possible that they can do the reform with just 2 of us. They must call everybody. There must be, what do they call them? Public hearing, stakeholders meeting. So what that 30-day challenge is, 30-day on fixed INEC. At that point, every other petition that is with them will be brought to bear. They will now call all those. The one that Dr. Tanko, they have submitted. There are other people talking about INEC electoral reform. The question is, who is putting pressure on Akpabio? As long as there's no pressure, nothing will happen.
That's it.
So we as youth must decide to become the life wire of what we are presenting. I agree, we can decide to amend to make it 5, we can make it 10, we can make it 3, we can make it 1. But without our public pressure, this 30-day challenge of fixed INEC must begin to trend. After that 30 days, we must begin to plan to mobilize to occupy NAS. Not the one that they did in 2023, everybody kept quiet. That is why they are consolidating on the criminality that happened in 2023. Everybody knows the election results of 2023, except you want to pretend. But there is no public, there is no civil action. We are just going and hoping, using vibes and inshallah. 2027 will become worse than 2023. So I beg you, my fellow youths and people, by the time you see this, whatever we decide to submit, it is a pointer to an issue. the conversation will be expanded, and then we must put our pressure, put our voice. Why did they say it? Our money where our mouth is.
Yes,
So
sir.
I don't know too much of that English, but now waiting carry me come with that.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Please, we don't have time. Politicians are already walking ahead of us. Right now, are you aware that INEC is already submitting their own proposal before the National Assembly? And do you know what they are submitting? Who knows? Can somebody tell us? The youths, you people are always at what is INEC proposing presently for 2027 election? Do you know? Let me tell you.
They're saying that they don't
They
know.
are proposing that you will not need voter's card. Do you know what it means?
Armageddon, criminality.
Yes,
Criminality, Armageddon.
That is to say we are going back around where we started 40 years ago. Some of you people were not born. 40 years ago, Nigeria is about to go back in reverse gear. 40 years ago, say we don't need voters card to vote. And they are already ahead of us. They have already presented it. It's already before the National Assembly to amend that electoral law. That you don't need any electoral voting, no rivers, no accountability. Say INEC will issue you a paper, voting paper. That is all you need. Go and vote. So the call is urgent. Please, it's not something we should go home and see and sleep over. If we are looking for a better Nigeria, just as our colleague has told you now, I attended the University of Maiduguri. That there was no catchment area. I attended the University of Maiduguri. All the bosses, in fact, nobody needed to know your state of origin. That is the last question you are asked. I read law at the University of Maiduguri, but I understand now that some courses are now reserved for catchment area. When I went to the University of Maiduguri in 1983, there was no state like that. What mattered then was that you are in Nigeria. And if Borno State government is giving students scholarship, they won't ask where you came from. You are in Faculty of Law. How many students do you have in Faculty of Law? 40. We all got scholarships, irrespective of our state of origin. That is the Nigeria we are looking forward to. And we are counting on you, the youths, because you are more in number. You are more enlightened. Please, let's all join together to make Nigeria a better place.
Amen. Thank you very much. I think I will hand over to guest speakers who had come from far. Honestly, I was impressed. And it will shock you to note that all those people that came, nobody asked us for flight ticket or asked us for hotel accommodation. Never asked us to buy them anything or even give them any money for anything. I was impressed. First, I want to thank them specially. I want to thank Dr. Tanko. Dr. Tanko was not even in town. When he remembered this thing again, he has to come back to town to make sure he participates. And which has been his usual way of making sure that he is compliant to everything he wants to do. Dr. Tanko, thank you very much. You have been an inspiration. Yeah, clap for him. Give him a round of applause. Thank you very much for your efforts and all your fighting for. God will continue to protect you and guide you.